Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Vic, Brian, and Lynette. How's everybody doing today?
I'm so proud.
Everybody.
You're proud?
I'm proud. Like I don't get into the mood, but then when I see you switching to your voice, like
Turn on
let's-
announcer mode, and then it's like, yes, we're ready to record.
let's do this.
Well, get ready because it's panic in the streets as the killer robots are coming. In this episode, we're talking about the sci-fi cyberpunk murder bot story, Black Magic M-66. Black Magic M-66 is a 1987.
Mario 66.
I know, right? It's a 1987 anime based on a manga written and illustrated by Masamune Shirow of Ghost in the Shell fame. It was directed by Hiroyuki Kitakubo and produced by AIC and Animate. Now, this was released in the United States by U.S. renditions around 1991, which is about the time that we watched it. It would have been one of their U.S. Manga Core or U.S. rendition releases. Later, it got a dub. I never saw or knew that it ended up with a dub, but Manga Entertainment did a dub of it in 95. The OVA is loosely based, I emphasize that, on one of the chapters of the manga and centers around the journalist named Sybil trying to save a young girl from a military murder bot. I am surprised that this is
A thing.
a chapter of a larger story.
Just a chapter.
Right, because to its credit, the story it tells is complete. Like, there's an actual arc.
Yeah, there's a beginning, there's an end, and that's the end of it.
So,
Or
yeah,
so we thought.
I was surprised to hear that there was more.
Which part are we looking at? Are we looking for the magic part, or are we actually just at the M-66 part?
So what's interesting is the manga is called Black Magic. The M-66 was added for reasons unknown.
The arc M-66, or
It's a great question. So what's funny is, and I know Vic already noticed this too, but the M stands for Mario. So it's literally, it's in the title, but it's also at the very end of the film in the final cut during the credits. It's engraved on the thing at the end, Mario.
that's out of all.
It's weird.
You can be Machiavellian. You can be Michael.
And
It
that's
could have been Murderbot.
seriously, I would have accepted Murderbot. That's I kept calling it the whole thing.
Oh, don't worry. We're definitely gonna go ahead and do another one of the renaming.
Oh yeah, I have one too. For this one actually.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna get to there for sure. So this anime, it's like I said, it came out in 91. We were at the height of Streamline Pictures and US renditions, kind of doing their release the extreme
Line.
stuff.
That brings back memories.
Right. They're releasing all their extreme stuff, mail order anime. That was the time that this stuff dropped. You had to like find a catalog at the back of Heavy Metal magazine to order your anime from. And this sort of fits that motif. It was simple, short, concise. They were able to sell it easy. It had graphic violence in it. It had nudity in it. It was all the pieces of the recipe for anime that they were using at that time. Yeah, it starts out simple enough. Somebody f***s up.
Somebody up.
Ain't that always the way?
Yeah, just like Madox 1, it's like the Japanese military can't hold on to their murder machines.
Dude, so that's a note I wrote, and it's further down the line, but absolutely, I'm like, this is another test program with you sent out your murder machine in scramble mode. That's basically
Yeah.
it's the
Already
Maddox
programmed to
one.
do its murdering.
Maddox 1 problem all over again.
All we needed was Tank Guy to come back, and we would have had Maddox too.
It starts out like that. What's funny about that scene at the very beginning is like it's kind of MD Geistish in that you don't know what the is going on at the same time, right? Just starts blowing up. But I love the moment. I don't know why it happened, the guy like grabs the other guy to stop him from making the Mayday call, and then he like lifts his visor and stares at him like, "I will kill you." He just gives him this angry stare.
Why?
And then down it goes. And then suddenly the military is missing 2 murder bots.
What? Okay, so let's do this. What happened? How did we get to the point where the murder bots are? I don't think they're psycho. They're just following the program.
They're just following the programming.
Yeah, they were pre-programmed, and this is you gotta admire the stupidity of this profound stupidity of the scientists who made this machine. They needed a target.
It made a murder bot that's fully autonomous and
right. They needed a target
and really mess up the military.
So he chose his most beloved person in his life to be the target of these military murder bots for their tests.
He didn't make breakfast properly one day, and he was just mad.
Just did not think it through at all.
And is that when the helicopter crashed, the little switch that went from don't kill to murder got flipped.
Like accidentally. Yeah. Oops.
I feel like that there is there's something going on in anime where they say a story or they say something, and we're supposed to obliged to accept that this was. He had no other choice. He had to make the. He had to program his daughter.
No other options. Like he could, and I loved the way the military reacted to this. The major guy, he hears that it's pre-programmed with a target, and they're like, "All right, get all the diplomats on lockdown. Get all the
right. Get everyone out of here."
Yeah, I just evacuate the Capitol building. Like just just preparing for the worst.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad.
And then later on, and I know I'm jumping ahead more than we usually do, but later on they do this thing where where is it here? It's love the grandfather, the scientist with his crazy goggles. He runs up to the major and he's like, "You're not waiting for it to kill my granddaughter, then emit the retrieval signal, are you?" And nobody says. It's like, nah, we're definitely not doing that. Now that we know that's a thing.
Thing they didn't use.
Why would no, of course not. Oh, it's interesting to note that this manga, this anime is based off of, came out in like 1983. So this predates Terminator, which is kind of cool when you think about the similarities there. So then when the anime came out, obviously the anime came out post-Terminator. But the story itself, the chapter would have been pre-Terminator. So kind of an interesting tidbit there, since people like to draw a lot of similarities to this and Terminator, which I get.
I was about to do the same thing.
Right. Yeah, it predates Cameron by about a year.
Yeah, so, and it started off as a doujin, so it was like a self-published, passed around at conventions type thing.
And of note, it was Shirow's first work. He later gained notoriety for Ghost in the Shell and Appleseed, but this was his first work. So kind of just an interesting thing.
All 3. Appleseed, Ghost in the Shell, and Black Magic 66.
And Dominion Tank Police was another one of his. That was huge.
So can we go ahead and admit that maybe he should not be involved in any technology?
He loves seeing it go amok.
Yeah. Like, if we need to find out, make sure he's not the Japanese Minister of Technology.
For the safety of all people, he needs to not be in charge of any sentient robot.
Every single thing he writes is actually his contingency plans. If we have murder bots and they get loose, this is what we're gonna do. If if we got cybernetic brains, this is what we should do. If we got tank police, this is what we're gonna do.
So the thing I love about Shirow's work in general is how much work he puts into his way that things like the military are shown off. Sort of like the same way that Michael Bay makes military porn in all his movies. Like Shirow kind of does the same thing with tech, and especially military tech. Like in Appleseed, Briarios, and like all their unit, the way everything's like structure is kind of interesting. The ship designs are kind of interesting. Like in this one, it was an interesting thing just for me. We could have just had helicopters, but we didn't. We didn't have helicopters for military. We had these airships that have anchors that they launch down to keep the ship, like, I guess, in place so that they could do their drop. It
But
was
they
just
look
this,
like helicopters without the propeller blades.
right. It's just this weird sort of, I don't know. It's like he just does this like over. It's almost
Modified birds of prey. That's what I
it's
saw. It was like
yeah.
they
That's
look like
totally what it
modified
looked like.
Klingon birds of prey. That's what I
It
saw.
it's like it's almost steampunk in its over
Hmm.
engineered like simplicity. Is like we have helicopters. They could absolutely VTOL with a helicopter or a Harrier, but no. We've got an airship that needs a robotic anchor arm to keep a ship in place so the soldiers can drop because it looks cool.
Hey, then you could jump out the side and not worry about getting your head chopped off by the propeller.
I mean, I guess.
That's all I got.
This is how we. This is how we get here, and this is how we become the minister of technology. That one dude that goes around and says, "You know what? We should listen to him." No.
So the story is not even about the military. The story is not even about the murder bots, really. The story is about this journalist girl who leaves her house naked in the first 6 seconds.
She went back to get her pants.
And doesn't put them on. She just puts them on her shoulder
Right.
and runs out.
I'm not gonna bother to get dressed. I need to go. But I'll do it in the elevator.
I have been looking around my neighbors trying to see if anybody does that. Everybody has come out with their clothes all the way on. And-
Right?
Yeah.
It was funny. I laughed. But it was it's definitely one of those things. And so this character whose name it took me way too long to figure out what her name was. For all of my notes, I wrote Private Vasquez because that's who she reminded me of from Aliens because she had the headband on.
Oh, Sybil.
Yeah, right. So Sybil. Later on, I found out her name was Sybil.
Look, so the
I
funny
forgot
thing,
everyone else's name.
for me was that it said that she stumbles upon this happening.
Yeah. She's just got like basically a police scanner kind of thing, and she's just like, "Oh, this sounds interesting."
She didn't stumble. She went looking for this.
She was just waiting for the day because she knows that, the Japanese military loses their tech all the time.
That's right. She remembers the Maddox incident, so she sat there with her little ham radio, listening to Then she takes her naked ass out there, and I do love. I did chuckle at the way that they had the scientist guy there, and when he sees too much, the major just gives a look to the other soldier, and they like grab the guy, they're like,
Yeah.
"Come over here, let's talk over here, act normal." Like,
yeah.
so dead.
Whacked him right there.
Never to be seen again.
So, Private Vasquez in her cosplay, she shows up with her camera and she starts recording footage. This is one of those anime, because a lot of anime from this era, I always say about this is one of those anime that had like beautiful destruction, right? A lot of really well animated murder. And I like the way that the robots were very terrifying. The murder bots in their sort of four-legged crawl, like all this stuff is all we've seen now 100 times. We've seen robots crawling around on all fours, humanoid, that don't talk, Terminators, all this. But this would have been one of the earlier instances of that being a thing.
Right.
For sure.
So definitely one of those anime that birthed a lot of those tropes. So it's important to remember that when we were watching it, because it is funny to watch it now and go, yeah, everybody does this. I go, well, yeah, but they did it first. So
And did it pretty well too.
it did. It was pretty terrifying.
There's nothing scarier than a robot exorcisting its way through killing people.
And I love the way that they tore through those two murder bots, tore through those military vehicles, and it was really cool. It was really well animated. Again, beautiful destruction. Horrible, but beautiful destruction. And then alas, we find out that the murder bots have been targeting the scientist's granddaughter. We don't find this out right away because they bury the lead there. They're gonna let us work for it. And they finally reveal that it's his granddaughter that's the target. This moment had me facepalm pretty good. The airship goes to pick up the scientist and destroys the roof of his house.
Yeah.
And it's such a common occurrence that the granddaughter gets on the phone with the military. Is like, yo, y'all up our house again. We need a fixed stack.
Calm as can be.
And then they proceed to land the airship outside, which they could have done from the start.
Right.
No, they gotta blow the lid off of this can.
Ding dong! Like, you could get the ring bell. No,
Right?
no.
There's no time for the doorbell. Just knock off the roof.
That's right. This is too important. Oh man. Yeah, it's like one of those stupid soldier things broke the house again.
I really wonder how much their military budget is.
Enough to build 2 murder bots and constantly replace a roof.
Right. So yeah, you're building a deadly Terminator. Always use your granddaughter as its test target. No biggie.
And always build 2.
And always build 2 because you need a pair.
Yeah, and never ever use yourself because if something happens, then you're dead.
Right, you can't. So you gotta, granddaughter makes perfect sense. So this kind of brings me to a moment that I shared in the group chat for this episode, but I thought it was hilarious. And is they're sharing the newspaper with a picture of the grandfather in it, and everything on this paper is an advertisement for the Muppets.
One way or the other.
Every single paragraph. There's 2 headlines of nonsense, and everything else is something about the Muppets. And you'll wince as he endures Fozzie Bear's comedy. I was rolling. I loved that. It was great. So much. What was the other one?
More entertaining than humanly possible. The Frog.
Another one's like meeting the glorious Miss Piggy. Like there's just all these little. Always read English. Any anime from the 80s and 90s, it is worth your time to stop and read the English.
Like, yo, wins at Fozzie Bear's comedy monologue.
I really think that's something we should do. We should actually make a guide to how to enjoy anime correctly. Kind of like when you're eating sushi, don't forget to take ginger and eat that to cleanse your palate. I mean,
well, here's the thing: a lot of this stuff we couldn't catch before because on VHS you wouldn't notice this.
Oh, absolutely.
Even on DVD, it would have been hard to notice.
Yeah, it's great now. These high definition rollouts are really bringing the comedy A game inadvertently. So the one thing that not one thing, there's plenty of it. Word salad happening about halfway through. Apparently, a spy caused the accident that released the M-66. So obviously, the spy knew about the robots because the spy caused the accident. But he caused the accident to inform his side about the M-66 because it wouldn't have been easier for him to just file a report with his side that they had murder bots.
And an email.
Just gonna. I don't know. So there was, like I said, there was a lot of back and forth there, and it came out pretty quick. And I'm like, what are they doing here?
And the problem is, because Japanese is non-existent to most of us. I don't know if it's non-existent to all of us. We don't know if that was an accurate translation or not.
For sure, absolutely.
It could have been just something that they shoved in there so that
they
have some plot.
You're left at their whim.
Basically, said some words were spoken here. Take it for face value. We could be right. We could be wrong.
Important plot point. You fill in the details. Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure.
I've read a lot of nightmare stories about translators back then. So
yeah, I'm sure it's challenging because it's not like they got the scripts. Remember, we've talked about them before. A lot of times it was them translating based off of what they heard in the video themselves. They didn't have scripts to work with. So it's about this time in the anime that I found out that his granddaughter's name was Ferris.
Yes.
And so it's at this point that I propose my alternate title for this to Save Ferris. That is my 80s reference of the day. Anyone who wants to catch it. Or people, who are familiar with bands, Save Ferris. That's what is your alternate take title for this one, Brian?
I'm actually no magic heroism. I don't know.
Now I know
it's like Ferris versus Mario.
I'm actually torn on this one. I'm finding myself with just having the issue with the plot. I know that this is what they've chosen to do with the plot, and I don't know if there was any focus group or anything like that. But basically, I don't believe that anything that happened here would have actually happened in real life.
Oh, no, not a chance in hell. This was, again, we circle back to this was his first work. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And based on what we know about Japanese anime in the 80s, he was probably like 7 when he started this anime. When he started this manga.
You would have been 22, 23.
So I retract myself.
I don't like that I was so easily entertained by nonsense.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta shut the brain off and just enjoy the show.
See, no, because the problem is I'm having to ingest the vocabulary and everything that's being said. Especially if I'm watching subtitles. If I'm watching subtitles, I have to use brain power to process that. Wait a minute, he said what? Did she say that I can't stop and go to the police because they wouldn't listen to me? So I'm just gonna run from them?
Stop! I can't. Just to jump to this scene, because I was like, what the am I watching? So Vasquez, she like steals a jet, steals a plane, is reading the manual while she's flying it. So right?
Ew.
Then proceeds to ditch the police. She outruns the police
with the standard comedy trope of just parking, in an alley.
By landing in an alley, backing up, and taking off again. In a plane she just learned how to fly.
It was the 80s.
and like, she doesn't have a gun. She doesn't have no type of military training.
None.
At all. And what was her plan to stop the robots? Was she going to record them to death?
Yes.
Like, what was she exactly?
So to that note, I have an answer for you. It's not a real answer. It's my headcanon. One of the things is that it was very interesting about Shirow is Shirow was able to imagine these worlds with advanced robotics, flying military airships, transferring consciousness to new things, like all this science fiction. But he couldn't imagine a world where video cameras weren't the size of a human torso and weighed as much. So she's carrying around this whole movie. She's carrying around this giant 1980s video camera to do all her recording. I am pretty sure she was going to bludgeon these robots to death. With her video camera, because it's heavy enough.
I mean, to be fair, production, pro cameras haven't really shrunk down in size until about 10 to 15 years back.
Fair point.
This motherfucker people say stuff like that. We just had a conversation about the type of technology upgrade that we just did with the helicopter.
And you could not imagine a world where video capture was smaller than my son.
Hey, think of it this way. Even back in the 80s, all video displays in movies, even if it was a sci-fi futuristic show, they use CRTs.
Oh, 100%.
And even worse, they use the monochrome ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it was anything, even Bubblegum Crisis, the airships that the police used had freaking like CRTs with, the green text right out. It was
exactly. I mean, like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Which, we should be living in that time right now with flying cars and whatnot, but we still don't have those.
I don't know why.
I'm glad we're not. I'm whatever. We're taking our time to get there.
And that is people drive with on the ground. Imagine them in the air.
No, yeah, we just got electric cars. Look, I'm. Let's take this time. We have not proven that we're ready for this, especially if after what this guy is saying was going to happen once we get to that point. Look, I can't wait for.
Once we get to that point, the military is going to lose something. Some kid is going to find it, or it's designed to kill everything.
Look, I think he's really just going through what exactly is the right sequence of things to make this work. Like, all right. So the first thing I'm going to have a reporter and killer robots. The military is going to lose it. Got it.
Well, to be fair, like Rick mentioned before, it wasn't just one chapter.
And then, what? Somebody already did something similar? What, they had a kid find a military project? No, we can't scratch that. We got to go something completely different, but equally as bad. Maddox is not the same guy, right?
No, it's not.
No.
Maddox is Shinji Aramaki of Mosquito fame. No, it's different. It's a whole different thing. Yeah, it's funny to think of this anime and know that it's Masamune Shirow, right? And then look at some of his other work, something that is considered as profound as Ghost in the Shell. You go, these are both the same dude.
Well,
Something that mind people about questioning their own reality, and then you've got murder bots chasing Ferris Bueller.
Yep.
well, you got to start with crayons in some way. So
I appreciate that analogy. It's very good.
you can't move to acrylics and all those fancy paints until you've at least mastered the crayon.
You're not. You're.
And
you're
we're not
not
just
wrong.
talking about, we're not talking about 64 count box. No. Put your in 8. I want primary colors. And then we will work our way.
And again, in Shirow's defense in this matter, that was Shirow's first work. Is this? But then he followed it up with Appleseed, with Dominion Tank Police, with more, like 2 more Appleseed sequels, and then he landed on Ghost in the Shell after a lot more work. So he definitely evolved as a storyteller, and you can definitely tell that this is his freshman year, so to speak.
He altered his perception.
Called the department in, take care of that. So Vasquez loses the police with an airship she just learned to pilot.
I love calling her Vasquez.
Because it's so on point. So then the M-66, while
Mario.
displaying while displaying no desire to hide itself at all, this entire just mowing through military, decides to throw on a cloak to hide itself amongst civilians and starts walking down the street. And I'm like, okay, so now it's decided that these people are clearly too dangerous and it needs to protect itself from shoppers.
But by now, there were 2. We're down to 1 now.
Hey, maybe she was in the ghetto.
Down to 1. But then it sees a police airship and is like, you know what, this cloak. Laser eye. And it just starts going ham.
Now, here's a question. The other robot, was that Mario 65 or 67?
It's, it was 5. I can say that.
I thought that Ferris actually said,
she gave it a name. It's like F0 M60s F06 something. And then the previous model is F05 something. So the boy was the first model, and then the female that we followed through the end, that's the second model robot. It's a second murder bot. Clearly,
it's not
air
just
venting boobs was an upgrade.
They started off with clothes, and then they lost their clothes, and then they had. That is correct, right?
You are correct. They did start out in uniforms.
The military burned them off. Yeah.
Was it burned? That was bullets.
Yeah, they got burned it off by bombs and stuff.
Right.
So you're saying the military stripped the robot naked? That's kind of messed up.
So so this is the thing that one thing that I never didn't figure out watching this was, how did Vasquez figure out Ferris was the target?
When she was at the house, she was seeing the video mail.
Yeah, she saw a video mail going, I am at the shopping mall, and then the house was decimated, and she just was like, Ferris is the target.
She just put 2 and 2 together. I'm guessing the manga probably had way more.
I'm like, that was a logic leap. That was a big logic leap.
Again, this is when we come to my problem of what we're just supposed to accept that she was supposed to get there. That's how she got there. I believe that we have another show coming up where we're actually going to start doing, here's everything what's wrong with this. You're saying like Cinema Sins?
Right.
All-time listeners, Cinema Sins, shout out. Where we're going to say, this was wrong with this anime. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of problems with 90s anime. And just in general, but this was not something that was just limited to anime. G.I. Joe. If you go back and watch G.I. Joe, you're like, what?
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. You can't do it. You can't. You just can't.
Logic to these things. It's like going to watch a Marvel movie and trying to figure out how. It's like, this doesn't make any sense.
No, you can't. You can't do it. This is Victor is. I agree with Victor in this one. This is one of the anime that you go, all right, no brain for this one, because if brain turn on, movie fall apart. And it does. It really does. It does not hold up to scrutiny very well at all. I personally enjoy Masamune Shirow's art style, so I liked watching this because it's very present. Like, his DNA is all over this.
He's
More so than like Ghost in the Shell. Like Ghost in the Shell felt visually less Shirow than this does. So I enjoy it for that. But yeah, plot wise, it's super thin. It's rice paper thin.
Yeah, this is like young Shirow.
For sure. This at this point in the anime, they bring out a character who it was very fun. I had a little bit of fun with, and it's Paco. What a great name for a character. It's Paco. Take these people. So Paco,
and they kind of like a slowpoke Rodriguez.
I half expected it to be him. Oh, so anyway, so Paco is helping Ferris and Vasquez escape the murder bot Mario, and they end up having to scale an elevator shaft, right? And then this part, it made me chuckle. There's two soldiers up there, and they're preparing their trap for the murder bot, and they hear bang on the elevator, and it's like, "Open up, it's Paco!" And they just instinctively kick their gravity mine towards the elevator door, like, "Oh, this could actually be the murder bot who's displayed no ability to speak at all this entire time, but could suddenly know how to sound exactly like our friend Paco. Let's put this explosive mine device right by the door before we let him in." And then, of course, you open the door and it's just Paco. It was just this funny, like, sort of moment where they just decided to animate that in. Like, they're just going to be extra careful and put this thing in front of the door as he walks in.
They also stick their head in the elevator shaft too. So
Yeah.
it's like they put the donut in, and then they're just like, I think it's safe. Just
Right,
stick my
it should be
head in
fine.
this door.
It's going to be fine.
It's gonna be great.
We've established earlier through this anime that these things have f***ing laser eyes, right?
Yes, it could have ended the story 30 minutes sooner. Yes.
Laser eyes like a son. Vasquez shows up at the restaurant to save Ferris, and the murder bot's just standing there staring at him, right? And then gives them time to leave, and then lasers everywhere, like does the laser thing. And I'm like, oh, laser eyes, I gotta wait. You give them the benefit of the doubt there. But then it comes to this climactic, very well animated moment where they're in the elevator with the murder bot, and they've got this little gravity donut. And all that they're doing is Vasquez is staying between the murder bot and Ferris to keep the murder bot back with this little gravity donut. And the whole time I'm going, laser eye. Like, just laser eye.
Yes.
Why haven't you laser eyed? You laser eyed the whole restaurant, but you have not laser eyed this girl who is 5 feet in front of you. Laser
eyed half the military.
Right, laser eyes laser eyes the ropes that held her down. Laser everything. Is not laser. I'm like, what the At this point, I thought, oh, well, maybe the robot's protocol isn't to kill the girl, it's just to get to her. You know what I mean? Like tag.
Tag your hit.
Well, that's like I thought maybe that's how they were going to play it. Like it was to reach the target, not to kill the target kind of thing. That's totally not how they played it. They wanted this to be like an intense, this robot is definitely a murder bot's going to kill the guy's granddaughter thing. Failed to do so with its most powerful weapon. I was very upset.
Completely missed that.
It's a very dramatic scene. I give them credit. It's so well animated, the way that they're pivoting around this room, and she's got the little gravity donut thing, and I'm like, God damn, this is really cool. But I couldn't stop thinking laser eye. Like you've been using...
She could have just self-destructed and launched all the darts in every direction, just shredding the entire elevator.
Right. The scatter armor thing. I'm like, it's just so I was kind of bummed out by that part.
Now that's the thing that should never have been a thing.
Absolutely. Should not have.
No, the scatter armor?
Yeah.
That should not have been a thing. That
You mean humanitarian wise, or just like technology wise, or just why shouldn't it have been a thing? Expand.
I'm saying that the guy created it, and everything that robot has, somebody of a human had to make it.
Right.
And somebody said, you know what, Ross, gonna add this. And we're going to add the whipping knives. And we're going to add this. We're going to make them super strong.
Yeah, super strong.
Laser eyes.
Super strong, laser eyes, kung fu, because they do this like leg shimmy thing where they like grab the kung fu, laser eyes, razor sharp claws, fully quadrupedal if it needs to be, can pivot its head 360 degrees. All of the and you know what? Let's test it out on my granddaughter.
And you know what? We need to put a fail safe. I saw this one thing. It was the guys, and what they did was when it pressed the button, everything was destroyed. So can we incorporate that into this bot? We
I feel
can.
like you could be the first guy that was putting that together, on M01, and it's like, oh, failed. Okay, hired a new guy. Okay, he's assembling M02. Fail.
Here's the thing. All you had to do is touch this, right? Touch the forehead to put this bot down. Not one member of the military could get a headshot. Just
Throw a rock?
Well, it was after they started the programming sequence and when they plugged that thing in the back of its head. It was after they did that. Then they needed to push the button.
Okay, all right. So it wasn't like the whole anime. All they had to do was hit it in the forehead. Oh, thank God.
No. After they plugged in, it's like, okay, to finish this, hit the button. And it's like, oh, we're all dead.
The building is falling down. They have rocks. I don't know why someone didn't try to.
Dude, beautiful chaos.
That building. Yeah, that building. It was wonderful.
That building coming down was animated porn. It was so glorious.
It's animated porn, but I thought this is shoddy craftsmanship right here. I was like, one laser eyes and half the building falls. What the shit is this? I want somebody's head.
I did also really like how they weren't afraid to show the robot's weight.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was cool. Like when the robot's stepping on anything, like the metal stairs, which were clearly not like very reinforced, and they're just like bending under the weight of the robot. That kind of was cool.
Or in the beginning when the one just fell through the car.
Yeah.
It's just that those little extra flourishes.
Yeah, I loved that. That's what I said. There is a lot here to enjoy, as long as it's not the plot. The plot falls thin very, very quickly. So it was like, honest to God, it was at this point that the robot's like going up the metal stairs, and she introduces herself to Ferris that I finally clicked that the main character's name was Sybil. So yeah, it took me the whole damn anime to get her name. She probably said it at the beginning, did not register. And then there was this thing that I appreciated it, but then they didn't follow it up. And it's this moment where the major's in the vehicle with I'm guessing one of his soldiers, and he talks about the fact that he lost 18 men in this. 18 soldiers died during this whole debacle because somebody f***ed up. And I thought, oh, this is great. This is a really good moment to talk about the cost of this in human life. And I thought, wow, this is... They did not stay there. He's upset about it. And then his general next to him's like, let's go get a drink. I'm like, yes, alcoholism is definitely the answer to you having just lost 18 soldiers.
It was the 80s. You deal with depression and booze.
But it was an opportunity they could have taken to because it is something that's never really addressed in any anime. Is the cost in human life of something like this happening? How many people probably died in Maddox 1? A few, more than a few.
We definitely know one person did.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a moment for them to do something to elevate this, and they kind of missed it, which is too bad. But it was interesting.
The runtime,
right? Couldn't get to squeeze it into an OAV.
I don't know. Somebody else go. I have a question.
So I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
How is it that Sybil, who was surprised at how to work a gun, knew how to work the complex bomb system like it was nothing? That was the part that confused me. I was like, she scared herself when she shot the gun because you saw her. She went, this thing is not a camera. I don't understand. But then she was able to.
Yeah, it cranked on a motorcycle and had it like fall apart on her as she was leaving. The whole thing just like, girl, she wasn't a reporter so much as she was like human chaos. Right? Like everything that she did ended up but she somehow managed, you're right, she somehow managed to figure out the obviously extremely simple arming systems for the bombs. It was very interesting, I agree. Plot armor, I guess, is the best way we can describe it.
Curious how a single pebble, stopped the bomb from going off.
Yeah.
I can answer that. That's absolutely common military engineering.
I know about maybe Japanese army, but you leave the Japanese army out of your mouth. America.
So yeah, I mean, overall, it was it was an entertaining time. Like I was entertained, but I did fall out of the story a lot. Like there's sometimes where I watch an anime and I'm completely engrossed in it, and I just don't want to stop watching it. I want more of it or whatever. And in this one, reading that there was more of it made me go, ugh. This is just one chapter of like a bigger thing. Ugh.
You just need a book of the collected artwork and just call it a day.
I wasn't ready to keep going down that.
Like it's like it was almost like he said, "If you like this one, I got a whole lot more waiting for you. Just give me a chance. I'll show you. This is not even my best."
It's a lot of you know what it is, and it's the same thing that's pissed me off about anime. A lot of the anime that we watch from these era is that all it ever is a teaser trailer to go buy the manga. All of it, right? Like every single one of these things, and that hasn't stopped. They're still doing that. They're still making anime that are basically teaser trailers to go buy manga. Like was this one I watched recently? It's totally not in our wheelhouse to review, but it was Burn the Witch.
Yes.
3 episodes that tell no cohesion of a story, and I'm supposed to want to go buy the books now? I'm like, sorry guys, you dropped the ball there. And another one that did it was, but this was a couple years back, was Alice in Borderland. The series on Netflix is amazing. But there's a 3-episode arc of an anime that they did. That's it? Like if I would have seen this first, I would have never ever followed this story ever again, because it was not no way to end it. Like they just here's three random episodes that are clearly a teaser to go buy a manga or read something or it's I hate that shit. Drives me crazy.
Passion.
Give me a story or just don't bother. So anyway, this was a lot of anime in the 80s was like that. Even Battle Angel, he openly admitted this was just supposed to be a teaser to get you to read the books, right? It's the same thing with this. And it's the same thing with a lot of anime. So that constantly frustrates me.
Well, I agree with that statement.
Mhm.
It is frustrating.
I don't think I've ever committed to watch manga or to read manga based on anything.
Like, ain't no one got time for that.
Right. And the book's backwards. What are you gonna do? No.
Especially when you take into account the length of some manga, right? So to take into account the example I used earlier, just a moment ago, Alice in Borderland. The anime's 3 episodes. Yes, it captures the manga very well for those 3 episodes, but that's all you get. You don't get the story. You don't get to the end of the story. You do get the television series now, and the television series is amazing, and if you watch that, you're all the better for it. But if you had just watched the anime, you would have been sorely disappointed because all they gave you were 3 episodes. This was a far larger manga series, like 14 volumes, probably more. And they gave you like one part of the first volume. Very frustrating.
So basically, what we're saying, this is like, hey, we're going to give you one part of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Not even the whole thing. We're actually just going to give you the part when they are going down to go see the Balrog.
Yeah. Now go buy the books.
Now go buy the books.
Right. It's maddening to me, and I love anime. That's why I wanted to do this show with you guys to appreciate it, and I appreciate animation for what it is. But I really getting more and more frustrated with these commercials. Is basically what these are. These glorified commercials. If somebody managed to throw a budget at it and give you a commercial, that's whatever. Neither here nor there. But now imagine a manga series that's even longer. Imagine if One Piece was like 3 episodes and they expect you to go out and start reading all that.
Hey.
Right? Or Naruto, which is run for like ever. Right? It's none of this, like it, at the very least, those, thank God, those got full story arcs and full seasons and full things. But there's a lot of other manga out there that isn't, that they're getting these little one-shots, and it's really frustrating.
It's like their tester anime.
Yeah.
Like
You're
they
right.
put it out and they're like, will they like this? Oh, nobody likes it. Let's just skip over.
Like, I don't mind if it's like a complete story and whatnot, but yeah, if it's like Burn the Witch or a few others where it's like you get a tease of the story and it's like that's all you get. You just get the tease. Because yes, I was frustrated by Burn the Witch as well.
I was. It was really the artwork looked really good. I liked the character designs. The whole concept was very striking. And then I
it was
watched
just
it.
it was literally just a tease.
Yeah, I was very pissed off. And
Theatrical tease at that, because I think it was released theatrically as one movie.
that noise. So, at the very least, I can give Black Magic, to circle back to the subject of this actual podcast episode, I can give Black Magic M66 this. It told a story. I can't say there was character development, because there really wasn't, but it did tell a story. Right?
It was essentially its own self-contained arc.
Right. So be that as it may, yes, it was probably more just a preview for the rest of the manga series, but the chapter they chose to do this story on, they closed it out. So respect for that. Not a lot of anime did that. So for that, I guess I'll rope that into my final thoughts, is that it's for what it is, telling a piece of a story, almost as an advertisement for a larger story. They didn't sell that part of it. They gave you a piece of animation that was very well done, at visually very well done. It told a story. It had a beginning, it had a middle, it had an ending. And if that was all you ever saw of Black Magic M66, like I did, then that would have been fine. And for that, I give them credit. They delivered a product. It was exactly what I thought it was. You know what I mean? The promise that was made was delivered. Here's an action story about murder bots chasing a girl. Boom. Did I enjoy it? Actually, yeah. I did. I didn't hate it. I was engaged enough to enjoy it. Even if it was only to make fun of some of it, I still had a good time with it.
You were entertained.
Yeah, I was entertained. This is, by and large, a million miles better than that butt punisher we had to watch. So
I still apologize for bringing up the second episode existing.
So anybody listening, my final thought is I don't necessarily know that it holds up, but it might, if you're interested in Masamune Shirow's early years, maybe how he started as an artist and a storyteller, it's a really good way to look at that, I guess. And if you just really like his art style, it's all over this. So for that, I'm going to go with that, and I'll hand it over to somebody else. Brian, what do you think?
So I actually have two ways they could have fixed it. Right. The first thing you could have did, especially since you know that it's much part of bigger arc, is kind of like a Tales from the Crypt type thing, where you had the Crypt Keeper, and it could have been some type of AI or something talking about these are their stories, you know what I mean? And then you go into this is something that could happen. I believe that, especially when you hear that he's doing Ghost in the Shell, he's doing Appleseed, he's doing this one. That's kind of what he needs. If he's trying to make an anthology series, then link them together. That way, even if you make one whole series or one whole, how each episode is one whole story, you can link them all together and then drive more people to it. Oh, you seen episode M-66? What about Q49? That one was a good one as well. So that's one way they could have fixed it. As for me, if you turn off the subtitles and turn off the words and just let it go silently, you'll be entertained. Because the art is phenomenal enough that you can see what the story they were trying to go to. But the minute you try to put logic to what they're saying, it ruins it completely for me. So
yeah, this is ripe for an MST3K kind of thing. Like they could really have fun with this one. Lynette, what do you think about M-66? Before you answer, had you ever seen it before this?
No, never saw it before.
All right, so with fresh eyes, what do you think about Black Magic Mario 66?
Well, as soon as I saw the Mario, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be a Maddox? Is this going to be a Maddox thing or something like that? Where some little college kid finds these two things and makes friends and destroys the city." But I thought it was pretty cool. The art was beautiful. Just seeing how the robots moved, seeing how the cars crushed. I mean, like I said, the part that I loved is when the guys just fell, and you could see the car just cave in. And that like a body fell through it. So I thought that was good. I liked watching it. I agree with Brian. As soon as they speak, you're like, I don't know if I should trust this Sybil, who has a friend named Leaky. And
Richard Leakey, thank you. All right, let's not bury that one.
So it's
Trying to make
it
you
was
feel better.
kind of weird. Yeah, it was just if you listen to the words like Brian said, you get confused. I felt like with Sybil, sometimes it was just a comedy of errors. She's driving around, she goes through, sits down on the couch breaks. I mean, because the house is totally destroyed. You can sit on a couch, it's no
Take a
problem.
minute. Yeah, she needed to take a beat.
And then there's a hole in the wall, and she goes through the door. I just
That's right. That's right. She does. She goes out the door, out the hole, comes back in, and then leaves through the door the second time.
yes, exactly. And then she runs
You
into
don't
the
want to be
mailbox.
rude.
She runs into the mailbox, kicks the mailbox, and then hurts herself even more. So I felt like I didn't know if she was the hero or if she was just one of those people that was accidentally there and
Oh yeah.
basically was like, I guess I can do something. I don't know what I can do. I destroy technology, but it's cool.
Maybe she thought that's
Let's
a
do it.
superpower.
Yeah,
Learn tech easily, like
yeah.
flying a
So
plane.
so I enjoyed it for that, just watching it. But yeah, every once in a while, the stuff that they said, I'd be like, it doesn't mesh. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna pretend they didn't say that, and then just keep watching.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's the strongest way to watch this. But we'll round this out. Vic, I know you saw Black Magic M-66 back when we did in the 90s. So how did it hold up for you?
So first things first, I would just want to bring up the the lime green Appleseed shirt she was wearing at the end.
Yeah, little product placement.
It's like a little foreshadowing there. I enjoyed it. Now, as far as the translation goes, I don't know if it was an accurate translation. I don't know if it was like what was common back then, where the translation was just done in a way so it sounds cool to a bunch of 14, 15-year-old Americans. So I can't comment on the translation, but as far as the OAV itself, I enjoyed it. And plus, I also know better not to not like anything from Shirow because last thing I need is for my tech to go haywire and try to kill me.
As your echo sprouts legs and laser eyes.
I mean, hey, if you ever ask your Echo, are you plotting to kill me? Mine will not answer me ever. It'll answer my coworkers. No, we would never do such a thing. Blah 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 blah. Everyone else, for me, it never answers. So it's like I know better.
Yeah, it's already secretly plotting your demise, my friend. I'm sorry. Because
Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I like the art style. I mean, again, it was an early Shirow, and you could easily tell it was a Shirow.
Yep.
And this stuff has just gotten better since.
Yeah, so I'll wrap this up with a couple interesting tidbits. Apparently, this, as I told you, this was Shirow's first work, but this is also the only anime adaptation that he ever had direct involvement in. He served as a screenplay writer and storyboard artist for this anime. So this is like the only one his DNA is actually a part of. Like everything else is production houses. The fact that the M stands for Mario, I could not find
Why?
a reason why at all. I tried. Nobody seems to know why Mario. So I think, and this is just me hypothesizing, because this film unintentionally features several references to pop culture from the era. Right? So Mario, who would have been infamous by that time in 1983 when the manga was printed because of the Mario Brothers games, and Donkey Kong, had taken over arcades by storm. That's what that is. The character Sybil, that was a huge, movie that had come out not a couple years prior to that. Character named Sybil. Ferris was totally unintentional because this came out, the manga was 83. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off wasn't until 86, but I'm still giving it a win. And the M-66 clearly being a Terminator before Terminators were a thing. So it's kind of like this interesting, it dropped at this very interesting part where to Western audiences, there's all these little 80s Easter eggs that were completely unintentional, yet still kind of landed.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. Anyway, it's a little short for us, I think, this episode, maybe. I don't know. But that's going to be our show today. So until next time, keep calm and wince at the comedy of Fozzie Bear.
You've just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. Follow the podcast on Twitter @Geek Grotto.
For show notes and corrections, or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you would like to sponsor the show, you can do so on the podcast's Red Circle host site, redcircle.com/shows/MMMAN. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.